The following podcast is sponsored by Luminary Leaders, Sadat and Associates, and Connected Women of Influence. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to the podcast. My name is Shelly Harrison, and you're listening to Speaker Central. On this episode, we talk about follow-up sales strategies that will get more clients and close more sales with my special guest, Wanda Allen. Welcome to this episode of Speaker Central, powered by Luminary Leaders. I'm your host, Shelly Harrison. Each week, I open the conversation with my guests to unravel their perspective, solutions, and get into their mindset of business. We break down their expertise to give our audience actionable steps and content to apply in their own businesses. Catch all our episodes on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe and follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. Our insightful topic today, I'm very excited about this topic because I did this for many, many years in my former career in the corporate world. So today, our topic is follow-up sales strategies that will get more clients and close more sales. And my special guest today, and also a luminary leader, so we're so happy to represent Wanda Allen. So welcome to the podcast, Wanda.
Oh, thank you, Shelly. I'm happy to be here.
I'm excited because I've been watching all of your videos, and I'm not kidding you. It's really helping me to just tighten up things, in my own company. So keep those videos coming. I love them. They're on YouTube, and we'll talk about that a little bit as we get into the interview. But what I'd love to do first is just to introduce you and tell our audience a little bit about you. All right. Well, Wanda is an international speaker, coach, corporate trainer, and she's the author of Follow-Up Sales Strategies and Follow-Up Savvy. Prior to founding her company, Wanda had a very successful 25-year corporate career. She started as a secretary when she was 19 and worked her way up the corporate ladder and was promoted to senior vice president at the age of 30. Did you hear that? At the age of 30. She was a business banker and worked with sales teams throughout her corporate career. She spent the majority of her career managing SBA departments. She managed departments that did 100 million plus in annual loan volume. It was through that experience that she developed a very strong skill for creating systems. After leaving her corporate position, she founded her company, Follow-Up Sales Strategies. How clever is that? Her career is now devoted to helping sales professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners improve their follow-up and relationship management skills. That's right, management skills. What she teaches is tried, tested, and proven, and I can actually endorse that because it is proven and it works in my company from what we've learned from Wanda. So without further ado, welcome, Wanda, to the podcast.
Well, thank you. So nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I would love to start the podcast and just find out, have you tell our audience who Wanda Allen is.
Well, you explained it pretty darn good in my introduction. I'm just somebody, that has a real passion for helping others improve their follow-up skills, because when you really commit to this side of sales, it makes the job so much easier. And people are working so hard on the front end, networking and lead generation and prospecting, but they fall so short on the back end, which is follow-up, which is what's going to bring in more sales, that it really, like I say, it pains me. And so my passion is to help everyone I can tighten up that process so they're not working so hard. Their efforts aren't going to be wasted. Their stress level is going to be decreased. And it's very, very meaningful work for me.
Yes. And I know that your system, like I had mentioned earlier, we're using your system. And I know that there are a lot of business professionals out there right now where they're either, especially during the time that we're in right now, I think a lot of them are feeling, where should I be focusing on? And really, don't you feel that the follow-up is essential, especially right now?
Yes, yes, because it's times are different right now, business is different, but you can't let go of the follow-up piece because it's about following up with your prospects, obviously, but I always say there's an extension of following up, and it's called relationship management. And you've got to make sure that you're taking care of those relationships because there is going to come a day when COVID is behind us. That is going to happen. But in the meantime, you really can't take your foot off the pedal. You know, you need to keep moving forward and following up and staying in touch and doing what's important and critical to continuing bringing in sales. Now, sales may be lower than in normal times, but still you don't want them to stop altogether. There are people out there doing business. It's different, it's not as much, but you still can achieve success in these crazy times.
And that's such a great point because I think a lot of people, what they're seeing right now is that creative time where now they can do things that maybe they didn't have time to do before. And they were so caught up in the minutia of their business that I think I'm seeing and hearing that more people are following up with their clients, believe it or not, where they're checking in with them and just finding out how they're doing. And it's leading to sales. So that shows that people are finally, realizing that yes, doing that follow-up is essential. And you and I, both were in the banking industry for many years. And I think that was one of the very first things I learned was the follow-up and how to follow up with your clients and build that relationship. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yes. I think this is the time because there is more downtime, I think, than we've ever had. Mm-hmm. And this is the time to really start developing some good habits. Because like you say, before pre-COVID, it was just crazy busy and people had a hard time finding the time, figuring out how to do it. Well, now some of that's been stripped away. And so it really is the time to start anew and bring in new strategies and habits and mindsets and actions and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. And as far as mindset, where do you feel, Wanda, that mindset kind of plays in this follow-up system that you've created?
Yeah, it's huge. It's number one, first and foremost, because if the mindset isn't right towards follow-up work, you'll trip yourself up before you walk out the door or pick up that phone or send that email or text. Mindset is so critical. And there's a lot of facets to the mindset towards following up. And really, I believe the number one barrier to getting follow-up work done is fear. And fear is in the mind. There's so much fear associated with following up, which is a huge reason why people don't do it.
Yes.
And so that's why, it doesn't mean you get rid of the fear. It just means you don't let your willingness to take action and want to bring in more sales has to be bigger than the fear. So
that's a good point. Very good point.
You have to learn how to manage it, keep it in its place. Don't let it be the driver so that you still can take action in spite of the fear.
Yeah. And as far as the fear, I know just from my own experience, working with other, clients and people that I interact with, I think a lot of them find that, the fear is something that they just don't know how to shake. And they think, gosh, if I follow up, maybe it's too long, I waited too long, or, gosh, if I follow up, they're going to ask me questions I don't understand, so what are you saying as far as the common threads, why people have that fear?
Well, it's the ego, quite frankly.
Oh, the ego. Okay.
Which is interesting because like you said, well, they might ask me questions. Well, the ego is a know-it-all. And so anytime you think you know what somebody's going to say or what somebody's going to do or what decision they've made, you're operating from your ego. And the ego is not going to serve you well because it's not your best self. And you really just need to keep the ego in check and say, look, I don't know what they're going to say. I don't know what decision they've made, and I won't know unless I follow up.
Right, unless they make that phone call.
Yeah, and so I always say, sign on the go with reason and logic, because that can pull you out of the fear. That's kind of the adult side of us, is that, look, you won't know. And so you've got to take this action so that you can find out.
Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And so you can give yourself an opportunity to serve that prospect and convert them into a client. Because if you don't follow up, you're also doing a disservice to that prospect, because you're not getting an opportunity to do business with you. And I believe everyone listening to this, watching this, believes they will make a difference in their prospect's life with their business, with their product or their service. And so to not follow up is a disservice.
And it can be. And when you think of it, these phone calls, it's like picking up that 500-pound, the phone. Now it's a cell phone, right? For the most part. But people don't realize that if they just wipe the slate clean, meaning they don't have any preconceived judgments or ideas of what the client or prospect is going to say, but they still know the history of what happened, meaning they go back and they check their notes and, kind of get a temperature check of where they left off. Would you say that that's part of your system?
Oh, yes. Yeah. You've got to make sure that you're managing that relationship, and prospects are relationships. You've got to be on top of what the past conversations are, what the next step was going to be, what the prospect wanted. Don't rely on your memory. It's not going to work. So when you have more order to the follow-up process, it will naturally increase your confidence in taking that follow-up action. And confidence is key, because that's what people buy. We want to do business with people who are confident in their ability to service us. And so showing how you manage relationships, even in the prospecting stage, that in and of itself can win you the business, because in general, people really struggle in this area. It's not hard to stand out.
Yes. And I agree, because I know that people do appreciate if you follow up if it's too frequent and too often, that's one thing. However, if it's very meaningful and it's business. So when you think about following up with a prospect, there's a reason for following up, and there's purpose, and, the outcome is based on how you handle that call.
Yes. And, I always say, if you're in sales, part of your job is to follow up, because research tells us only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. So that means 98% of the time you have to follow up. Part of your job is to follow up. And so if anybody's not doing their job, it's unprofessional.
Yes.
So to say, and this is a mindset, if I don't follow up, I'm not doing my job, which means I'm being unprofessional. And that's not going to bode well for a reputation and potential business and referrals. So you always want to be that professional that follows up.
Yes. So Wanda, with businesses, can you give us an idea of when you start working with, let's say it's a company a floral company, and they come to you and they want to work with you. What is that process? What does that look like for you?
Well, first I do a strategy call with them, because I want to see where they are. And I have a couple different programs and see what's the best fit for them. But I really talk to them about what are they doing, what's working for them, what's not working for them, where are the blocks? And then I can determine, one, if I can work with them, and two, if so, what program would I put them in?
That makes great sense. And I think it's that discovery, where you kind of uncover things where that you can help them too, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And now with, just with everything that you've experienced this year up to this point, and we're in August right now, where do you see your company headed in the rest of the year going into 2021?
It's really good, and it's exciting, because now that groups are accustomed to having their meetings online, it has just opened up the whole country to me, and a world for that matter.
Yeah.
I'm focusing on the USA.
That's so
though.
true. Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
But, it's so interesting that I have so much more opportunity because of the times that we're in. And so I think for the rest of 2020, going into 2021, I'm very excited. I see myself I've always had a full speaking schedule.
You do.
Yeah.
Do.
There was a blip, obviously, when all this first happened, but now it's, I'm definitely coming out of it. I'm getting fully booked again, and I'm excited about it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And I actually went to your website and I'm like, I looked at your calendar. I'm like, that's wonderful. And then I saw Speaker Central, the podcast. So I thought that was exciting.
Yeah. It's so funny. And next week I'll be speaking. In the morning, I'm speaking in San Diego, and in the afternoon, I'm speaking in San Francisco.
Oh my gosh.
And never leaving the comfort of my office.
Isn't that great?
It's so funny. Yeah. I've spoken in Pittsburgh and Denver.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? Those opportunities, I mean, think about it. You'd be in a plane flying to some of those locations, right? So really it's kind of made it so that it's more productive, more efficient. And the fact that you're able to meet some amazing business owners and, hopefully help them and have them, because I know you did a lot of workshops too. So tell us about your workshops. Are you still doing those? The workshops?
I haven't since all of this has happened, but the last one I did was probably about 9 months ago. I did it in Memphis, but I don't have anything slated right now.
Yeah. Do you see yourself doing any workshops in the next, 6 months?
I might. We shall see. We just have to see. Right now I'm focusing on speaking and coaching. And then of course I do corporate work. So if there's, corporate training, I do that. And that brings in my workshops. But in terms of a public workshop, I don't have anything on the agenda, on the schedule.
And that's okay because you're staying busy as it is.
Yeah.
So, you're out there really making an impact with businesses. And, I think once I went through your program, and this is probably 3 or 4 years ago that you and I did this, and all of those concepts, I know, my team has embraced it. I've really had them kind of following your protocol. And, when I think of what you've taught me, and how that's changed how I do business. I could just imagine how your clients feel after they go through that because they realize it's like a light bulb goes off and, oh my gosh, and then the results that they see. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, yes. Yeah. I just got a new client this morning and I told him that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, you will absolutely succeed in this program. I have clients that have tripled their sales, but the key is you've got to implement. That's it, right? You have to implement if you want out of the chaos. And so many people are living in chaos right now. And I'm not talking about COVID. I'm just talking about business. It definitely changes businesses for my clients, which changes their life.
Oh, it does. It really does.
Yeah. When business changes, your life changes.
Yeah. It does. And as far as, right now with 2021, what do you think you're going to do differently in 2021 versus 2020? If anything.
I have changed everything. When COVID happened, right when it happened, I had a 1-month speaking tour booked with 11 speaking engagements. And all of them canceled but one. This was in May. And I felt like I got the 1-2 punch. I was a deer in headlights for about a month. And then I just woke up one day and said, figure it out. And so I shifted. I created an online course. I've gotten my YouTube channel up and running. I'm speaking online around the country. So I've made so many changes in I got a brand new website in the last 45 to 60 days that actually what I'm doing now is what I foresee continuing on in 2021.
Yeah. And I just see, I mean, I've seen just the progression over the years with you. I've known you for
Yeah.
probably about 5 or 6 years, or if not longer.
Yeah.
And just the transformation that you've gone through. And now you've been, where you've got all your systems in place, meaning you're, like you mentioned, you've got all the speaking engagements arranged. You have your books that, you're still promoting and getting out there, and building your coaching practice. And I think that's where the value is, when people can really be a part of your program. And tell us, who are the ideal types of companies that can benefit from the follow-up strategies that you teach?
Well, honestly, using the word anyone I know is bad, but because follow-up is a fundamental in the sales process, it's companies that have sales teams or even solopreneurs. If your responsibility is to bring in sales, that is a good client for me. They have to be open to it, open to making changes, because when you really commit to pinning down your follow-up responsibilities, it does take change, and it is uncomfortable in the beginning, and you've got to be willing to form habits and take on new mindsets. And so I really want anybody that I work with to say, okay, I'm ready to do this, to be coachable, so that, because I want them to succeed.
You really do.
Yes.
Very passionate about what you do.
Yes. Yeah. So, I'm not here just to take people's money. I'm here to change businesses and change lives. That's my driving force.
Yes. And that is so true. And ladies and gentlemen, you've heard it, because Wanda is very dedicated to helping businesses with the programs that she has. And when she speaks, you do provide a lot of content, Wanda. And I think that's where a lot of people are attracted to your follow-up system, because they are intrigued by, it is proven and it works. And, there's just a matter of, where companies need to decide, okay, is this something that, we're going to be serious about, or are we just going to handle it in-house? And chances are they need you to help them with that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, because especially with sales teams, when, I always use it at the parents and kids as an example. When a parent is trying to tell a kid something, it's sometimes falls on deaf ears. But if the neighbor or a coach says the same thing the parent does, well, all of a sudden it's brilliant information. And so it's the same way.
Truth?
Yeah, with sales managers or CEOs, because I've worked with teams, and then a CEO will say, I've been telling them that till I'm blue in the face. But when I tell them, they say, wow,
what a great
idea. Yeah. So I think an objective third-party trainer is always a great idea, because it's just clean. And I know that from being in the corporate world too, through the training, when we're getting trained by the boss.
Yeah.
Being trained by somebody who's not related at all.
Right.
To the team or the company. I just
like an outside trainer, or or a speaker that comes in. Oh,
yes.
Yeah. There's one question that I love to ask my guests, and I'd love to ask you this question, and you're going to actually fill in the blank. So are you ready?
I am.
Okay. So Wanda, in 2020, I want you to fill in the blank with this question. I'm blown away at how my company has, and then fill in the blank, please.
I've kind of touched on it, but how my company has pivoted in response to this pandemic, considering how I thought for a bit there that I was dead in the water. And then, once I got out of my own way, out of my own head, and the adult showed up, rather than licking the wounds from my canceled 1-month tour, I'm just really am blown away that how we have pivoted and shifted, and are now ready to just keep moving forward and continuing to help people.
Oh, I love that. And, if you think about it, you still can do a tour, virtually. So if you wanted
Yeah,
to
yeah.
stay in an area, you could, create that virtual experience. And, there, and like where we're back in February, my husband, I'll never forget this. And he's very invested in my business, meaning, emotionally, and he helps me quite a bit. And he said, Shelley, excuse me, what's going to happen with your business? You represent speakers and they're out in the field and they do live events. And I'm thinking, I didn't think of it as a detriment. I thought, wait a minute, we've got something here, because I'd done Zoom meetings and everything, and my mind started to go. And I thought, this is going to be an opportunity. And sure enough, like you, Wanda, where, your book's solid, and that's something where, these virtual events, sometimes they can be, a little bit like, oh gosh, not another Zoom meeting, but if you make it intriguing and interesting and you know that it's going to help someone's business, you could stay booked continuously, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's groups, countless groups around the country.
Oh, I all over, and in many different industries and companies. And I love the way that things are kind of shifting in the speaking industry. And, not just speakers, but trainers like you who, you have coaching packages, you have ways that you can have people, come into your company and be serviced. And, where you said before that you love to help entrepreneurs and you want to just change the way that they do business to make sure that they can increase their sales. And that's really what we're talking about today with Wanda Allen, as far as increasing sales with your follow-up. And Wanda, as far as a success story, I would love for you to share maybe a client that you've worked with that was an absolute success story where you just want to brag about it.
Oh, yes, of course. Kathleen, she comes to mind. I've had several, but she's the most recent.
Oh, Kathleen.
Yeah, she signed up for my program, and it's for my group coaching, and we do it on Zoom. And I've had this set up for years. And she said, I'll never be able to be on a call because I'm on the road. She's on the road every day, all day. And LA, and there's just tons of traffic. So she said, I'll never be able to be on a call. And she wasn't on one call, but I record them so she could listen to the recording.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I knew she was doing well because we would have conversations. She was very engaged with me. And so she finished out the program and she did great, but I didn't know how great until I was speaking at an event that she had coordinated. And she got up and told the audience that within a year after completing my program, she tripled her sales and bought a new home.
Oh,
and so
bought a brand new home.
Yeah.
Wow. That is amazing. I mean, when you know that you're changing lives so that they can increase their sales to buy a home, that is incredible, Wanda. Wow.
Yeah. So when she said that to the audience, I said, like I said, I knew she had done well. But she said that. And afterwards, I went after her. I said, can I use that as a testimonial?
I bet you had people. Well, I bet you had people flocking at you afterwards too, thinking, I want to work with Wanda. Wow. That's awesome. So now you have probably a glowing testimonial from Kathleen, and how exciting though that she was able to buy a home.
Yes. Yeah.
That speaks volume for what you do, really.
Yeah.
So with you, Wanda, what is your absolute passion when you wake up in the morning, when you think, I get to do what?
I love speaking. I love coaching. So speaking is how I get my coaching clients, but I love speaking, and I can cover, there's 20 people, 50 people, 100 people or whatever, and just really blast out some great information that's going to help them. So I love that. That just charges me up. And, and I do a lot of cold calling with speaking, a lot. Yeah. And I do a lot of follow-up, and it gives me material for because I do practice what I teach. Yeah. And I love it. It just lights me on fire. And then when I have my coaching calls and sessions, I love it because it's just helps. It makes a difference. I know I'm making a difference. And that's what excites me every day.
And what I love about here, I've heard you speak many of times. I've been in workshops with you when you're the presenter. And the one thing that I know that is absolutely just something about you that never changes is you're just so authentic. And the way that you embrace your audience, it's, and there's another speaker out there that does the same thing, but you both have a different dynamic, but you're both so great at this. But I think that, you can captivate an audience because of the passion that you have for helping entrepreneurs with the follow-up system, because and the one word that comes to mind is it's proven, where that proven piece of it is, that's something that, a lot of speakers can't say, or presenters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you for those nice comments.
Well, it's true. And I love working with you. So, so as far as we're getting to the end of the podcast, Wanda, and you've given some great information that business owners can absolutely, think about. And as far as finding you, how can people find you and find, the consulting programs that you offer?
Yes, they can go to my website, followupsalesstrategies.com. So there they can book a strategy call if they want. They can sign up for my coaching programs. It's all, they can get a book. It's all there.
Perfect. All right. So, and we'll make sure that all the information is at the end of the show. So in the credits, you'll be able to connect with Wanda, and also we'll put her books in there so you can go find her books. But really, I think you're that they're on your website. So we'll probably just put the website there because I think they can get them from your website. And the last thing that I'd like to do is ask you before we close, Wanda, what is the final piece of information that you would love to share with our audience that's going to help do something in their business that they can do within a day?
Get a CRM. Because you can have the greatest systems that exist. Mm-hmm. And you can have the best mindset anybody could ever want. But if you don't have a CRM that is going to manage your relationships and keep track of everything that you need to remember and take care of, mindsets won't matter, organization, none of that will matter. Systems won't matter, because a CRM is the foundation.
Yes, totally agree.
Of the follow-up systems and relationship management systems. So you can do some research. You could do it in a day if you wanted. They're not expensive. You get them for as little as $15 a month. There's some that are free, but I always say proceed with caution when you're doing free, because they're very limiting. But that is first and foremost. If you're going to be serious about really committing to the follow-up side of sales, you have to have a CRM.
And that is an excellent point. And that provoked my memory, because when I started working with you, that's what you suggested for us. And since that time, now we've built our CRM and we have thousands of contacts in there with all the documentation, the information, all of the follow-up, and my team uses it too. So that is an excellent point, Wanda. So everybody heard that CRM, which is a customer relationship management system. And, please stay connected with Wanda, because she can absolutely help you with your follow-up concerns, strategies, and implementing a system. So Wanda, I want to thank you for being on the show today. I really enjoyed having you here and sharing with our audience. For those of you that are just joining us, maybe new subscribers, we'd love for you to subscribe and follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and all of the podcast channels. Until then, Wanda, thank you. And to our audience, we'll see you next time. Hey there, did you enjoy the episode? If you did, subscribe to Speaker Central.